in a car, texting and driving, going about 60 miles per hour, ran me over while I was walking. It was like a Final Destination movie. To see your bones rip out your body all on the ground, to have a semi roll past your head and take a piece of hair with them and miss me by that much, and to see another semi come is like, man, like, you know what, I think I'm gonna die. I'm gonna just go ahead, go to sleep right here. Hearing the doctor saying that, Reggie, like, you'll never walk again, you'll never play basketball again, you might as well just start, preparing your life to be in a wheelchair. You really shouldn't even be alive. What's up, everybody? My name is Reggie Strong, Reginald, Reggie, whatever you want to call me. I'm 24 years old. I'm a freshman at Moraine Valley Community College. I'm a basketball player. I know y'all think at 24 years old as a freshman, but it's a huge story behind why I'm a freshman right now. I'm from the west side city of Chicago, the heart of the city, K-Town to be exact, Karloff and Polk. I've been to 3 high schools in my lifetime. I've been to Farragut Career Academy, played under William Wolf Nelson, legendary coach, Coach Kevin Garnett, Ronnie Fields, and a lot of other great people. I played under Coach Lou Adams at Orr Academy, another legendary coach. I think he's like 5-time, 6-time state winner, 2A class. I played with St. Joseph. I went to St. Joseph for a year. I played under Coach Pinkator. He had 1,000+ wins. Coach Isaiah Thomas and a lot of other great people. My plans for college is that I really want to get my degree. I graduated in 2020, so that was the heart of COVID. So that's part of the reason why I'm a freshman now. Really didn't have a graduation. I went down to play state championship, but they told us to go back home. Wasn't able to do it. And at that time, I was like a really high major recruit for the D1 level. Had many Division I high major offers. A lot of people ask me, why I didn't commit to one of those schools. And coming from where I'm coming from, the inner city, not a lot of money, and knowing that COVID kind of stopped a lot of people from working. That was one of the major reasons, as well as a lot of family issues was going on. One of my parents got laid off of work. I couldn't really work. I never gave up through the path. Even while COVID was going on, we had the laws or whatever, had to stay in the house. I still was at export every day, working out, really at risking myself to catching COVID because, although I wasn't able to commit to, I really wanted to go to DePaul or Michigan, wherever the case may be, but I never lost sight of the bigger picture. Because I know that, a lot of times people's paths are a lot different. And I know for a fact, ever since I was a kid, that I've been on a different path from a lot of other people. And to be honest, everybody is on a different path. Everybody's going to reach the finish line, but it's on your pace. It's a marathon, not a race. My plans for college is, to get my degree. I always want to go to school. I always want to play basketball for a school, but it just didn't happen at the time I wanted to do it. So yeah, like I said, I never lost sight of the mission. But now I'm here. I want to get my degree in business and just really ride the college level out as far as eligibility. I have all my eligibility years. Yeah, that's just some of my plans. And to go as far as, my work ethic take me. If you know me, I got a strong work ethic. I'm always working out on and off the court. Just a full update on like where I've been, because like I said, I'm really a prominent figure in the basketball community. I'm considered as a high school legend through a lot of official basketball Facebook groups and Instagram groups. Even as far as like rankings or whatever, I was once ranked number 5 in the state of Illinois, behind DJ Stewart, Adam Millen, Tyler Eulis, and all them. Mean Streets, Matt Gerber. I played for Young and Reckless. Yeah, graduated in 2020, COVID, didn't go to school at all. This is my first time in school. And then you fast forward to 2022, I think October, I got a chance to go play in a overseas tour to Yerevan, Armenia. I didn't get paid, I didn't sign any contracts, none of that. It was just for the experience to just go hoop, see how that is. I did really well, won a championship. Yeah, I did that, and I came back home. I was actually talking to a lot of coaches, out towards that way in Yerevan, Armenia, as far as like, they were telling me to come back, hoop for them. Even, people in China, people in the UK, coaches, agents or whatever, but it just didn't work out that way. And the reason why it didn't work out is because 2023, I had came home. I was playing in the men's league. This happened in Memphis, Tennessee. I was playing in the men's league, and I was walking in a car, texting and driving, going about 60 miles per hour, ran me over while I was walking. So, and I'm not a huge social media person anyway, so you would have never known until, you bump into me right around this time, or somebody may know me, may tell you my story or whatever. But even if I heard some stories got around, and it was definitely the wrong story. I was not driving or anything, not drunk driving, not texting and driving. I was just walking. Somebody ran me over. Just about broke everything in my body, full body cast. I got a metal plate in my right arm. It's replacing my bone. I got a metal rod in my right leg. Yeah, my right leg, broke my femur. There's 8 bolts in my plate right here. 8 bolts keeping my arm together, as well as 4 big nails keeping my whole leg together, keeping my leg attached to my pelvis and my kneecap. 2 nails in my knee, 2 nails in my pelvis with a metal rod. I got a broke wrist. It's my shooting hand. And also it tore all the tendons in my knees. It tore all the tendons in both of my knees. The doctor was like, they're completely gone. Like, he don't even know where they're at. He took a microscope to look inside of my knees or whatever, and he said that it was completely gone. So, he had to cut a piece of my quad out of my right leg, and he reconstructed all my tendons, ACL, MCL, PCL, and yeah. To be honest, when I woke up, I didn't know what was going on until it replayed back in my mind. Like, I think like a couple days later, I started to understand, like, man, like, I actually remember everything, how it happened. And, to go through something like that, and not to mention, I have an older brother that's not here no more. He got killed a long time ago when I was a younger child or whatever. I gotta make a comeback. I can't let my parents see life eat me up like this. And just sitting in the hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, 7 hours away from home, all that pain, and to hear that my dad watched the doctors put me back together, like really put me back together as far as putting the plates in my arm, in my thighs or whatever, and the rods, the nails, and he said, it was hard to see, knowing that, he got an older son that's not here no more. When I woke up, I seen his eyes like really bloodshot red, like it was a cartoon or something. And I was like, man, this stuff is real. Yeah, it was a painful process, hearing the doctors telling me like, yeah, Reggie, like, yeah, you're a strong person. You really shouldn't even be alive right now because, what happened to you, it was all on camera and they could see what happened to me. It's like, nah, it's really a miracle that you're here right now. It is what it is. God got me here for a reason. Yeah, just real painful, man. My mom, she had to keep flying in and out of the state of Memphis. She's super scared of planes. My brother had to force her to get on a plane. It was like, your son needs you. And not just your son, your youngest son. And at 22, I just turned 21 at that point. Hearing the doctor saying that, Reggie, like, you'll never walk again. You'll never play basketball again. You might as well just start, preparing your life to be in a wheelchair. And right then and there, I feel like one of the things that God was like, cause like, I don't want to sound corny or nothing, but I take things into like, to full perspective. Like, God was probably like, man, like, he really accepting the fact that he might have to live in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, be in a wheelchair, operate in a wheelchair. And I was already, in my mind, like, man, I done seen a lot of people in a wheelchair do this kind of job, do this kind of job, do that kind of job. And I was like, okay, I could easily do that. I was thinking about working at the post office right then and there. Yeah, so that was, it was devastating too, but if you know me, you know that I'm a real strong person, and knowing where I come from, we really try not to show the emotion on our face. We just try to put it on our back and, keep it rolling. We don't let the enemy see you defeated or whatever. And my whole thing that I try to like, prioritize in my life is like being a soldier for yourself, like, because if you know me and you know my dad, you know that, we could train you to go to the Navy SEALs, and we take being strong-minded like really serious. Like, you got to be really strong-minded to live this life, because life, it'll break you in an instant. And going through something that I went through, I know for a fact most people wouldn't even really be able to make a comeback, because I done heard many people tell me that, like, yeah, I don't know how you do it. I would have been gave up. To make a comeback that I did, they told me I'd never walk again. Yeah, but within a year, I taught myself how to walk. I wasn't really hearing no for an answer. Even while they told me that in Memphis, I had literally looked at my dad, and I looked at him. We both gave each other a look, like, no cocky stuff, but we was like, man, like, they must not know who I am, because if there's a will, there's a way. Even right then and there, I was like, man, we gonna see, we gonna show them, but not in a cocky way or in a mean way. Like, we gonna see. Yeah, fast forward, I'm just still in the hospital or whatever, and remind you, I'm 7 hours away from home because I live in Illinois, Chicago. I had to make a 7-hour ride back home, or do a 7-hour ride back home. I did it in a minivan. So just imagine, I was really paralyzed, full body paralyzed, couldn't move. My mom and dad had to do everything for me. The only thing I could really move was my head. So just imagine being paralyzed and having so much pain in your body. And if you know me, I'm a person that, I juice watermelons, I eat fruit all day. I'm gonna eat a pound of grapes because they say, it give you energy or whatever, natural energy. I try to eat as best as I can, stay away from, as much poison as I can. Can't be perfect. I don't focus on perfectionism, but I do as best as I can, Duality of all situations. I just try to do what I can when I can. So I drink beet juice, I drink pomegranate juice, and I was always doing that my whole life. And eating right on top of that just played a major role into my comeback as well, as far as like how quick I came back. Cause like I said, I taught myself how to walk within a year. I did that 7-hour ride back home. And the reason why I said that I'm the person that, focus on eating right is because I don't really believe in medicine. I don't take medicine unless I really, really have to, unless it's like really finna kill me. But I really don't take medicine because even in the hospital, because my mom, she's a registered nurse, and they was giving me a medicine called Norco. And I think it acts as like heroin or whatever. And it was like making me all sluggish and everything. My mom was like, no, I don't want you on this because by the time you get out the hospital and by the time you get back walking, you're gonna be addicted to it. And knowing me, I already don't like medicine. I'm like, man, you ain't gotta tell me twice. You really ain't gotta tell me once, but I stopped taking it right then and there. So really in the hospital, I've been stopped taking medicine. Only medicine I needed to take was a stool softener, and stop taking medicine right then and there. And just remind you, I had to take a 7-hour ride back home. So just being in the minivan crunched up like that, and so crunched up to the point to where after the 7 hours of driving, my body is literally stuck into the positions that, like, my legs was bent, my arms was kind of bent, and they was just stuck like that. I wasn't able to move it myself. So it was super painful. And then going over the potholes and everything, and coming from down south, it's a lot of, I don't have no hate in my heart, but we just keep it real. It's a lot of, racist states down there, racist towns and, sundown towns or whatever. So I was in a lot of pain. My parents was like, man, we need to pull over. We need to get you right, get you some medicine, get you some drinks, some food. And I was just like really telling them like, no, like we ain't doing that. Like I'm gonna just thug it out. I don't care how long we gotta take. I don't care how long it's gonna take for us to get to the next safest town. We're just gonna do it. So we had to drive like an extra 2-3 hours just to get to the next safest town for sure, to where we know we can pull over or whatever. Yeah, we did that. And what's funny is that pressure bust pipes, and I don't recommend anybody to not cry because you gotta let it out. Pressure bust pipes or whatever. I really try to be the toughest person out the group every time. Not saying like, oh, I'm the biggest, baddest wolf or whatever, but I really try to prioritize like being the toughest, like leading by example, like because it's gonna take a lot of times. A lot of people be around people that they cool with, friends, family, and they just be too comfortable around each other, and they not really able to push each other because they too cool with each other. They too comfortable. They don't want to seem mean. But me, I'm gonna be the leader every time. If it takes one person to get up and get out and to go do it, I won't actually do nothing that I want to do myself. So we pulled over, we went into 7-Eleven. The first thing I did was, I was like, man, I was in my wheelchair. I was like, man, roll me over there to the sunshade aisle. I needed me some shades because in the van, it was pitch black, dark, couldn't really see in the back of the van. My mom, she driving. She super freaked out. She almost crashed 2 or 3 times because to know that your son just went through this and you just had to fly all the way down to Memphis 2 or 3 times just to help save his life. You can be pretty freaked out. Got an older son that's not here no more, so it was like, man, it's a miracle that he's here right now because he's really supposed to be gone. So yeah, she almost crashed a couple times, and I'm in the back of the van just screaming like, oh, you finna run into the truck and all this other stuff. But yeah, I was really crying so hard. Every time my parents take a look back, I'm just wiping my tears out real quick, acting like I'm not crying because I don't want them to see it, Yeah, we get to 7-Eleven, I need them sunshades. So now I'm cool. I'm in the back of the van, I'm crying, but you can't tell I got the shades on. So, but it was really funny though. I ended up telling my parents, and they was laughing real hard. But they was like, man, we thought you was crying. We heard some sniffles back there. Yeah, so for 5 months straight, I took no medicine, and to know how much pain I was in, you had to go through it yourself. It wasn't just no bearable pain. I'm talking about pain that was so painful to the point where it's like, man, I was literally sitting in my wheelchair just like rocking back and forth, like just looking at the floor, looking at the wall, and just staring into space like, just shaking. It looked like a scary movie. You come in the room, you just see somebody in a wheelchair just shaking back and forth and, not saying nothing, laughing, just talking to myself, really was finna lose myself at one point, and my parents seen it. And they was just like, man, it's getting crazy, We don't know where it's gonna lead to, but it's not really looking good. But the whole time they didn't know that, that was just my way of coping with it, put myself in isolation, put myself in my room, close my door, just let me thug it out by myself. And that's exactly what I did. Like I said, super painful, man. A lot of people don't know that within 5 months, I had like 15 surgeries. So 15 surgeries within 5 months is crazy. All my surgeries didn't happen in Memphis. Most of my surgeries happened once I came back up here to Illinois. They had to reconstruct all my tendons and everything and do some more stuff or whatever, and to make sure that I was okay. And the doctor, he was telling me like, man, Reggie, you already been through like 5 or 6 surgeries. A lot of people don't even make it through the first or the second one. And, you lost a lot of blood. At that point, I was 190. I think in the midst of the process, I was 120. I ended up being 120 from 190, lost 70 pounds. And my doctor was like, man, you've been through a lot, kid. It's up to you. I'm not guaranteed that you'll be able to walk again, but it's a possibility. I had less than a 20% chance that I'd walk again. He said, but if you do go on to do it, it's just good that you did it, because later, it might cause a lot of problems that you didn't get the surgery. And so I just had to do a long self-reflection with myself. Just had to self-reflect like, man, Reggie, like, you know what you want to do in life. You want to hoop. You know what kind of life you don't want to live. You don't want to be in a wheelchair. This is no shade to people in a wheelchair, but you don't want to be in a wheelchair all your life. So what you gonna do, man? He said that a lot of people don't even make it through surgery. You just been through your 5th and 6th one. You got so many more to go. You gonna cop out, just gonna take the back seat. And like I said, I'm not a hard-headed person in a bad way, but I'm strong-minded. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna rock out on the possibility that I may walk and that I may live through the surgery, because it's not even a possibility that I may live through the surgery. So that's what comes first. And to know I had at least 10 more surgeries to go. I'm like, man, I got this much more surgery to go, so how I'm gonna do it? And my mom was like, if you want to do it, it's up to you. And right there in my head, I was like, that's just God talking to me, like, Reggie, I got you. I bless you to be alive for a reason. So I just took it like that. I took it as God just speaking to me through people that was around me, through my doctor. The piece of information that he gave me, like, it's up to you, Reggie. Then my mom, she said the same thing, it's up to you. I asked my dad, he's like, it's up to you. Because usually parents would be like, nah, I don't really want you doing that, because we might lose you. They're like, it's up to you. The only thing that was going to my head, like, you know what, God, if you want me to come home, then I'll come home. At least I'll be with my brother up there and my grandma or whatever. We can have a little party in heaven, whatever. But I was like, but if I make it, I promise you, God, I promise you, I'm gonna do it right this time. I mean, you can't be perfect, but I'm gonna try my best to do everything that I'm supposed to do. Try to eliminate all the distractions in my life. Get rid of people that's not for me. Get rid of people that's not doing what I'm doing. Coming from where I'm coming from, you can read between the lines. You just gotta separate yourself. And it's not so much of the point of like, man, I'm better than you. It's just like, I'm gonna be a leader for me and you. You know what I'm saying? Because to go through what I went through, and coming from where I come from, I went through COVID. I went through a blackball situation in the basketball community, because if you know me, and I'm gonna look dead at the camera, if you know me, you know what I'm talking about. I overcame that, and the fact is that you just gotta keep on pushing, man. You just gotta keep on pushing. And if you don't do it for yourself, nobody will. And you just gotta be a leader for yourself. And anything else that you receive as far as like a award from being a leader for yourself is just a part of the package deal. You don't really live your life based off of like, man, I'm only doing this because I want the money. I'm only doing it. Yeah, that's all a part of it, but you really want to do it because you want to grow as a person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I ended up doing all the surgeries. I was like, man, 1 surgery down, 9 more to go. 1 surgery down, 8 more to go, 7 more to go. I just kept telling myself that and just, stayed locked in. I actually didn't even have a phone through the whole process. I lost my phone during the accident, and my mom, she was like, I'll get you another phone. And my phone didn't come to like January. I said no to my phone because I'm really focused. I'm not trying to listen to my favorite rapper at the time, G Herbo. I'm not trying to be, caught up with the latest hood news and hearing about, cause like I said, come from where I come from, you're hearing about the next person that done died. You're hearing about, this party that got shut up and all that other crazy stuff. And you're just like, how can you grow and your mind is wrapped around negativity? So I knew right then and there, was like, Reggie, you gotta cut all ties. It is, like I said, it's not because I'm better than you, it's just because this is what my life need right now. Because if you ever been rock bottom like me, you'll understand where I'm coming from. You'll understand that it's go time. It's a sense of urgency right now. It's now or never. So I did all that, and to be honest, a lot of people understood where I was coming from. And they vouching for me. What helped me through the process is that I had really strong parents, you know. To know that you got a strong foundation and a strong support team. And cause like I said, if you know me, you know that my parents always been there for me and always was in the background. You know, I just had my first games yesterday and they came up. I mean, they showed up. They didn't even go to work. They still showed up. I have really strong parents or whatever. And my parents always taught me, like, you know, Reggie, because like I said, I'm the youngest. I always been the youngest where I'm coming from. But now that I'm at Moraine Valley Community College, I'm the oldest on the team. You know, I get to lead the people that's younger than me. You know, I call them my little brothers. Pretty cool. You know, really get to tell them about life because I've experienced life a lot more than them and been through a lot more than them. So I can, you know, just kind of guide them in that way. Because I really didn't have an older brother to, you know, really show me the way type stuff, you know. Really had to like get it on my own, you know, show myself as right along with my dad or whatever. Cause you know, my brother, you know, he was going through what he was going through. Like I said, come from where we come from, you know, it's just hard, you know. My parents, they was really strong. They always try to instill in me that, Reggie, you gotta be a strong person. Not to mention that my last name's Strong, so you know, you gotta wear that on your back every day. You gotta wear that on your sleeve, like, you know, like it means something. You know, you gotta represent for yourself and represent for the family. You know, my mom, she carried me while she was in college. She was going to Malcolm X College, and she's a registered nurse or whatever. I was in her stomach while she was going to school, and she was a single parent at the time, and she still had my older brother with her, and just on the buses and everything, taking him to daycare and everything. I was 12 pounds, so 12 pounds coming out of my mom's stomach, so it took a toll on her. And then, you know, my dad, you know, everything started to really come around. My dad, he's from Cabrini Green, and if you know about Cabrini Green, you can do your own research. You know, if you survive Cabrini Green, it's almost like it'll put you in a psych ward. It could put you in a psych ward for real. You know, my family just have a real long, lengthy history of, you know, ups and downs, but we keep prevailing though, you know. Life is almost like a card game, you know. Every situation is a different card, you know. We playing spades or whatever, you may put down you may put down a 3 or whatever, and you're like, oh man, that's a weak card, ooh this, ooh that, I'm gonna lose this round. And then the whole time somebody put down the 2. Cool, you may put down a king, somebody may put down an ace. Life is all about situations, just play the hand that you was dealt. That's how I like to, you know, that's how I like to relate to, like, as a card game or whatever. I'm just grateful to be alive. People always ask me because people don't even know, man. I've been going through it, you know. I mean, although I had a 3.1 last semester, my first semester back after like 5 years, had a 3.1. But man, this semester, when the lights coming on, it's a season. I'm in my first conditioning for college, my first practices, my first games. My transmission go out. Now I got to make a 3-hour commute on the metro in the bus. Man, I'm telling you, it's just a windfall of things. My uncle ended up dying, my two aunties, they perishing or whatever. Like I said, my family is a lot older than most people. Yeah, my transmission went down, and then I just got my car back this morning because my alternator went down a week later after getting the transmission fixed. So it's like, man, just a windfall of things. And, you know, I'm just talking to my coach or whatever, and he's like, man, you know, you've been going through it. And I just told him, like, yeah, you know, I've been going through it, but I just told him, like, you know, sent the text like, yeah, but it ain't gonna break me though. You know, because I don't want you to think like, oh man, you know, it's cool if something break you, but me, nah. You know, I'm gonna let you know, like, nah, this ain't gonna break me because I always plan ahead of time. I'm always gonna plan ahead of time, even if something is not going, even if something going right, I'm already planning for like if it was to go wrong. I'm that type of person. I'm always planning ahead of time. Yeah, man. And another thing that I like to say that kept me going is that just me, myself, man. Knowing where I come from. Knowing that there's many people where I come from who has given up, fell back on drugs, and probably killed themselves. And when I talk about those people, I'm talking about people that's in my own family. You know, I'm just, you know, trying to keep my family bloodline going, you know, and just doing the right things and being a leader for the people that's, you know, that rock with me, or people that don't know me, they may bump into me and hear my story like, man, you know, you've been through all that. It's good that you're here, and to see how you making it through is real powerful because, you know, I'm a real faithful person as well. I'm not religious, but I'm a spiritual person. All while I was in a wheelchair, you know, my story is like really, really deep. So if I'm jumping all around, it's because it's so much into my life. It's 24 years that I've been alive. I'm in a wheelchair and I'm just meditating. I'm like, man, I want to get back in the court. Meditating how I look coming down the court, dribbling the ball. Just meditating how I look shooting the ball. Meditating how I look if I was to dunk the ball, you know. Before I shot this video, I did a 360 windmill. So it's like, man, now it's here. It manifested. You know, I'm all about the, you know, the 12 universal laws of manifestation. You know, the law of polarity. You know, you got to invest in yourself. And then a lot of people don't know that, you know, karma is real. So, you know, do unto people as you wish they'll do unto you, something like that. So I just try to be a good person, because if you know me, you know I'm a good person. I want everybody to win. You know, I don't wish bad on nobody. Yeah, I do. I read a lot of books. That's what kept me going. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of health books. Just read a lot of books about the universe, manifestations, like I said, health. I did like a lot of writing assignments myself, just like, you know, looking up different writing assignments online as far as like what can help you get through a painful process, a painful setback. And I'm just doing that, and I found myself like really my whole life, I always been a journaler. I always journaled or whatever. I always wrote down, you know, how my day went since I was a kid, since I was in like kindergarten. I always took interest into that, just writing about my day. Write about my day, write about what happened in my day, write about this situation that happened during my day. Like, oh man, he said something to me and I ain't really like it. How did I feel? I really want to tell him this, but knowing me and knowing where I come from, I just gotta turn my back. I mean, turn the other cheek. You know, turning the other cheek, it's not about being, you know, a weak person when it comes to that. It's just not giving your energy to irrelevant things, man. Most of the things in life that happen in your life that's chaos or that could bring chaos, man, you just gotta really turn the other cheek. And that's how I treated this situation. Like, man, Reggie, you gotta turn the other cheek, man. Like, you can't dwell on this, you know. Although, yeah, you in a wheelchair, man, you can't dwell on it. You gotta turn the other cheek and you just gotta look for the future. You know, that's just all I was doing. And like I said, just writing every day. And I probably got like 5, 6 notebooks just fully written, front to back, talking about my life, talking about what I want in the future. You know, and a lot of that stuff was what's going on in my life right now. I wrote it back then. So if we hear about a lot of people, you know, talking about, you know, manifestation, this 3-6-9 method and all this other crazy stuff, it's not crazy. It may sound corny, but I'm telling you, it's really real. I mean, it's really real, especially if you put true intentions behind it. And what I mean by true intentions is that you got to really put the work in, you know. Whatever it is without work, it's just lip service. You know, you can't say you want to do something, you don't put in the work, it's just lip service. And my dad used to tell me that a lot because, man, he used to make me like do real boot camp drills, like 400 push-ups in a week, 1,000 carburetors in one day, you know, stuff like that. And he was like, man, you can't say you want to go to the league and you don't want to do this type of stuff, you know, it's just lip service, Boochie. So, you know, everybody call me Boochie or whatever. Yeah, man, my name Reggie Strong. You know, this is my first time being in front of the camera in a long time. You know, it's really like I'm breaking out of my shell because, like I said, I put myself through isolation. I done cut so many people off in a good way, though. For everybody to know, like, man, Reggie, he was like really one of the best people to come out of Illinois for this 2020 class. He's doing his thing, and now he's not even finna be able to hoop no more. Just another lost cause. So yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna let people all think all that. That's just fueling the fire. But little do they know, I'm in the crib, I'm in the house, forcing myself to walk every day. Forcing myself to walk every day, even when the doctor's like, Reggie, don't get up and do nothing because if you fall, you'll just about break everything in your body again. I was like, man, skip that. I'm finna force myself to walk. So I'm in the crib, my mom and dad, they gone, out doing what they doing. It started out for me just taking a stand. I had to learn how to stand up without falling. So when I was standing up at first, I'd be wobbly, fall back in the bed, cool. You know, that's progress, because they say I'll never even walk. If I'm not gonna be able to walk again, that means I shouldn't be able to stand. So boom. Started by taking a stand, and then it started by taking a step. Taking a step, fall over in the bed, okay, we'll start over again. It just gradually got better and better over time. So taking a step, taking a few steps. Then it went from taking a few steps to kind of like trotting. Then it went from trotting to kind of like jogging to fully running, from running to jumping. Then, you know, I was just really challenging myself because I lived on the 5th floor in the Forest Park Apartments, on Grand Park Apartments. And if you know that building real big, the Grand Park Apartments, I was just flying up the stairs. That's my challenge right there, just flying up the stairs. About 2 steps, just skipping stairs, just skipping all the way up, making myself real tired. You know, that was just like my first workouts or whatever. I was always in my room lifting dumbbells because, like I said, I got a plate in my arm. So, you know, it took a lot of mass and stuff out of my arm, a lot of strength. Just really like drilling myself. And that's why I feel like that was like a huge a segue into like me coming back, is because it's all about your mindset, you know. Being optimistic and knowing that, you know, you got to do it for yourself. And like I said, my dad always had me, you know, drilling or whatever, you know, doing a lot of workouts. Did it so much, and at that time I didn't like it, but the whole time it became a lifestyle for me, unconsciously. So now when it's really time to do it for real, to get back right, to be able to walk, I'm able to do it about myself now. I don't need nobody to push me. I don't need no motivator. I don't need no personal trainer. No shade to people that do, but this is just me and my life. And I was able to do that for myself. It's just been good. People be like, man, how you getting on a train? Like I said, like, you know, a 3-hour commute. So if I'm doing a 3-hour commute, my class started at 9:30. I'm leaving the house at 4 a.m. going to sleep like around 11, sometimes 12. I'm not even getting a lot of sleep, but that's just me, you know. It's been going well. I never really was a huge sleeper, just a power napper. Get right to it, because where I come from, man, time is never on your side. And, you know, coming from not a lot of money, is either you gonna get out there and get to it, or you just gonna take the back seat and watch somebody else do it. And then be I coulda, shoulda, woulda, cause if somebody else could do it, then you could do it. A lot of people out here in this world, they going through a way worse situation than you. You know, some people don't even have a house. Some people haven't even ate for 3 months in a row. Some people, you know, don't even have clothes on their back. They only had one pair of shoes for the whole year. So for me, like, man, I got a house, I got food, I got parents, I got clothes, I'm just in a wheelchair, and I got my mind. And really, that's it, man. Yeah, like I said, my name is Reggie Strong, 24 years old. I go to Moraine Valley. I'm a freshman. Look out for me, because one thing I am gonna say, when I was in that wheelchair, I was always telling myself, they better watch out, because I'm coming for them. I know they talking. I know they saying, oh yeah, he over with. I know a lot of people who probably really don't mess with me, like, yeah, like he got what he deserved, ooh, ooh. Yeah, I did get what I deserved, but guess what? God also blessed me to be back, because now I'm finna hand it to people. That's it, that's all. Piece of advice I got for anybody out there, just do it. Just do it. Do it while you can, because when you can't do it, time is over with. Time is not by your side. Time is not your friend. It just depends on how you use the time. Another thing I got to say, man, my fault, I'm having flashbacks. You ever had a flashback of a car hitting you at 60 miles per hour? I'm pretty sure you have it. So it was really like a Final Destination movie. And I watched the previous one, and I was just like having flashbacks like myself, like, man, like that happened to me. It don't feel good, you know, to see your bones rip out your body all on the ground, to have a semi roll past your head and take a piece of hair with them and miss me by that much. And to see another semi come is like, man, like, you know what, I think I'm gonna die. I'm gonna just go ahead, go to sleep right here. And that's, you know, that's what happened. And I end up waking up like, oh, well, I guess he ain't roll over my head. I guess I'm still here. But yeah, man, another piece of advice is what you do it for, you know. Whatever you're doing, if you're not motivated to do it, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Simple as that. If you're not motivated to do it, then whatever you're doing and whatever's going on in your life, if it's not enough motivation for you to keep going on and achieve that goal, then it's probably time to reroute and do something else, because there's many things in this life that you can adapt to make it a lifestyle for yourself. As far as like being a doctor, you could be a 9-to-5 person. Don't even matter. 9-to-5 people will live great, you know, make their money, have their apartment, have their food, because at the end of the day, it's not all about having a Lamborghini. It's not all about having a Ferrari, because I was always taught that if you got clothes, you got food, you got a house, everything is able to be paid for with no problem, you're good. Everything else is just a plus. So if it's not enough motivation for you to keep going, then just reroute and do something else, because you don't want it to become depression. You know, you forcing yourself to do something that you're not even happy with, as far as like doing or whatever. And you're trying to make other people happy instead of yourself. Put yourself first every time. That's what I had to do in this process. I had to put myself first. Simple as that. If you don't put yourself first, nobody will. They'll just walk all over you, because then they'll see that you don't even respect yourself. So when people see that you don't respect yourself, they will not respect you. And that's how dirty this world is. That's how cold this world is. So I'm just here to, you know, keep it real with people. You know, just tell people, just shed some light on people, because I was once one of the people that was on the other side of the phone listening to somebody's story and, you know, possibly get motivated, possibly get spiritually moved. And I have a lot of people in my life right now, a lot of my trainers or whatever, they tell me like, man, Reggie, like, you spiritually moved me, bro. Like, to hear what you went through and to hear that you able to tell me your story. A lot of people not even able to tell their story. You know, I was hearing about a lot of people who got ran over by a car right after I got ran over, and they didn't even make it. You know, my cousin, she got ran over on Dan Ryan because she pulled over on the shoulder of the expressway. She got hit by a car going way less than the speed of what they was going with me, and she didn't make it. You know, somebody else I know, somebody got ran over by like 20 miles per hour. He didn't make it. So I'm like, man, Reggie, it's a reason why I'm here, you know, because I really had a mentality of a winner. I have a mentality of like, man, we're just gonna put the team on my back. We're gonna roll out. We're gonna do what we gotta do. Like I said, you gotta be a soldier. You gotta be a soldier for yourself. You gotta keep it stepping. You know, I watch a lot of movies. I like cartoons, and I watch Finding Nemo, one of my favorite movies, because, you know, Dory, she used to always say, you know, keep on swimming. And yeah, that's it though. I appreciate y'all for y'all time. Like I said, my name is Reggie Strong, 24 years old, freshman at Moraine Valley Community College. just stay on the lookout for me. And yeah, appreciate it.